Chapter 7 Maintenance, Inspection, and Service. 7.1 Chapters 1 through 6 of the manual describes the procedures affecting maintaining tracking systems and military installations. The planning, development of an effective trackage maintenance program must be based on thorough time inspection. Competent inspectors. The chapter describes the procedures inspecting the trackage system, systematically detecting, identifying, reporting deficiencies and trouble areas within the system, inspecting the criteria formulated for rule activities based on the necessary limited standards shown in Appendix B. 7.2 Responsibility, providing qualified trackage inspection by the military installation. Responsibility for the department tasks on the maintenance of the trackage other than real property is shown on Chapter 1 and in making inspection and performing maintenance of the repair work. Safety precautions. Chapter 1 and 6 of the manual must be observed. 7.3 Inspecting the railroad and crane trackage. Railroad and crane trackage inspections shall be performed frequently and details specified agency policy. General inspection shall be consist of observing function of the trackages related to the safety, maintenance, design parameters, and examination will be cited. Sound and feel and instrumented non-destructive testing. Inspection and trackage includes rail ties, subgraded subsport, foundations, drainage, appendages, and accessories. Primary emphasis shall be given to ensuring maximum safety, maintaining all frequencies in safe sound condition. Deviations from the standards of forth hereon and shall be approved in the waiver appropriate services. See Chapter 1. 7.3.1 Pre-preparation of prior to the investigation of segment of the crane and railroad trackage of the inspector shall become familiar with many available factors of the operating possible or pertinent information of the data and variables should be reviewed. These may include results of previous investigations, statistical information, safe performance, casual factors of accidents, determined in accident investigation, omission, deletion, undetected, uncorrected defections noted in these previous reports. Gives clues of the inspector location, detailed investigation by the required. In addition to the save time, the facilities are more complete investigation as well as to gain cooperation of effective filing and preparation should be made by 1. Notify 1 the personnel responsible track and track responsible for operations over the track and territory to be inspected. 2 to set the date of location start of the inspection and if the time permits secure the following information from the activity and in the advanced investigation. 7.3.1 Timetable special investigation covering the territory inspected to show the method of operation, maximum allowable speed and permanent speed restrictions, equipment and loading restriction. Train. 7.3.1.2 Trained cranes per day in each direction of average tonnage amount of the hazardous material movement. 7.3.13 Location speed responsible existing temporary slow orders. 7.3.2 Inspection. 7.3.21 Duty inspectors. Inspectors' primary duty to conduct effective investigation, determining the crane railroad trackage and applying safety standards regulation. Effective investigation requires identification, professional evaluation, accurate reporting of the safety consideration practices and specifications are considerable in scope and detail depending on the circumstances in each case. Records examination of the records, track competence and measures of the track geometry, determination of the compliance of the requirements is responsible of the inspector. 7.3.23 Personnel and safety. The inspector first in concern of his own personnel safety as well as the safety of any personnel in company. He will make sure that his current lineup of all trained crane and other equipment movement of his permission to occupy designation track by designating time when a foot of the railroad track. He must also alert to accept the train any tracker any time there either direction prepared to promptly clear the train except ship personnel must exercise adverse weather conditions. 7.3.2.4 Safety rules. Inspectors should know that comply with safety rules and installation that they were safety equipment specified activity. 7.3.3 Advanced notification. Notice of investigation. Schedules inspection specifications since the efficiency of standards inspection significant improved for assistance to operation personnel. Advanced investigation will given in all cases of feasible. Inspectors shall be given a sample or ample notice of territory to be investigated and proposed to dated and starting of the investigation and invitation to have the representative activity of the company of investigation and activities of representatives should have the immediate knowledge of all conditions previous inspections can be in assisting providing accurate locations of distances to name locations furnishes and proper trackage assign the trackage designation for M332 time frames. Sufficient time should be provided in planning investigation to allow activities representatives to prepare themselves and or permit the responsible adjustment to be made in Schedule 7333 on schedule inspection instruction. However, they are not instructed and prohibited unaccompanied investigation when the activity personnel are unavailable to furnish assistance. 73.4 inspection equipment tools. In order to make the proper track inspection, certain tools equipment are necessary. The basic equipment needed is a track level gauge, is a frog gauge, is a rigid gauge, is a hammer sounding rail in paved areas, is corded up to 60 feet, 2 feet long. Reported forms a copy of this manual. Section 2, Inspection and Reporting. 7.4, Continuous Operator Inspection daily prior to the use of safety checks listed in activity regulations. The conducting an additional on-the-job observation shall be going on all times when equipment is working. Crane or railroad operations personnel, operators, engineering, track and riggers, and shall be encouraged by to observe the report track problems, deficiencies, obstructions, and the feel of the track. The working walk down of the track inspection operator and look for the broken rails, other rails defective, faulty switch points, closures, indications of wide gauge, power line, or surface loose, crossing planks, wheel flanges, striking frog points, working spikes, joints, pull aparts, evidences and eminence of track buckling and score of the bridges as they threaded to the slides is the thing that contribute to the train accident should be brought to the attention of the responsible person. Correction. Preventive maintenance inspection. The preventive maintenance of the PM inspection is visible continuous routine shop level working inspection. It is performed by conjunction of the daily assigned maintenance for repair tasks. When possible deficiencies are corrected during the inspection, no record made and uncorrected deficiencies shall be reported to the supervisor for action, including the repair work is scheduled, the adjustment in operation speed and closure in the section of trackage. 7421. The PM inspection is designated to detect the correct trackage deficiency developed from day to day. The track walker can correct the observed deficiency in a half an hour or less. It should be done and it must be reported from these reports. Essential trackage must be repair work and schedules developed and implemented. 7422 types of deficiency PM inspection designed and detected whether the track walker may be able to correct, including and not limited insufficient switches, lubrication shortages, or lack of fuels, untrimmed and wicks and lighted in switch targets, loose missing joint bolts, rail spikes, plates, and anchor conditions, derails, wheel locks, ices, defibrillous fouling, switchings and flangeways, paved areas, defective bumper blocks, poor housekeeping, uncorrected items, and may include is not limited to broken ties, defective switches, inoperative switches operated, reported rough soft spots, poor drainage, substructure failure, defective rails, settlement conditions, supporting columns, misalignment. The most important sections are checked and switches, curves, and any other derailments occurred that have occurred. Overall track inspections. Because of overall track inspection, trackage must be inclusive, exacting the PHM inspection, and only qualified personnel should be assigned to make them annual inspection as are required except from when snow and ice and sub-freezing temperatures, unusual climate conditions, any other important factors and circumstances. Overall track inspections should be called more frequently, where in the winters a sufficient maintenance factor on one overall track inspection is scheduled in early fall, later summer, one soon after the spring thaws. Reports overall track inspections used to plan immediate work needed to prepare the recovery of the affected winters, determine the condition existing and requires the engineering investigation, additional testing, evaluation, develop the several annual reports reporting the track work signal or multi-year maintenance plan required on basis of backlogging and maintenance reports. 74-1, 74-3.1, or 7431 methods of detection. Overall trackage and inspection shall be included all checks performed during PM inspection plus its detectable deficiency. Visual inspection should be included in observation readily accessible components of the trackage system, including rails, rail accessories, switches, crossover ballast beds, roadbeds, supporting structures, support appurtenances, basic checkpoints, the trackage and inspection listed by Chapter 6, Appendix B, using the inspection report relating to them, installation package, trackage requirements, in-house capabilities, priorities available, the funding, other factors, and annual long-range trackage maintenance, repair programs, developing the program as they reported as a factors development in the future trackage program. Since the rail flaws are not visible to the eye, the rail inspection will detect internal flaws and insignificance, paragraph 314 and 75, and to overall track inspection, the detection of internal rail flaws. The detector cards have been standard practices of American railroads of the number of years. Of these cars are induction under ultrasonic methods of the cars available on the contract of the hourly rent basis. The overall trackage inspection of the running track cannot be completely comprehensive without inclusion of the reporting showing as a result in non-destructive rail tests. 7432 checklist reporting, providing overall track inspectors checklists, including but are necessary limited to the deficiency, including the 652 and Appendix B. The inspectors will be reporting the detail, the condition of all track elements. Their reports will be recommended priority to the work of the best method of correcting reported deficiencies, exceptional, complex, unusual trackage maintenance repair problems, and to be subjected by depth engineering review for the best resolution. 7433 classification of the hazard inspection. Inspectors should be designated for degree of hazard negligible, marginal criteria, catastrophic. See paragraph 7.8.1 as paragraph references Chapter 6. Based on the judgment as whether the doubt regarding the serious defect of the questionable safety condition shall be stopped over section of the trackage involved in deficiencies or correcting until safe and has been determined. Deficiency designated as a critical catastrophic. Inspection personnel should be evaluated cognizant engineering and maintenance organization to determine the corrective action to interim precautionary measures, including the usage restrictions, support structure, subgrids, ballast, foundation, bridges, trestles shall be inspected as of signs of a settlement and failure. Special attention shall be looking for opening quarry and bulkheads, waterfront, retaining structures, the permanent fill materials to wash out the cause of trackage settlement failure, and buildings supporting evaluated cranes shall be inspected in accordance to designated criteria. 7435 paved areas and asphalt, concrete, grouted, and visual inspection shall be included in observation exposed to real defects, trackage movements exceeding the limits stated in herein, and sign and distress adjacent pavement. Potential serious defects suspected failures shall be caused in removable paving. Detailed investigation of trackage pavement shall be maintained so that it does not interfere with the railroad or crane operation to ensure the safe vehicle movement and measure invisible operation. Spot check measurements shall be made of the track gauge, cross-section evaluation, curve radius, horizontal alignment, vertical mismatch, supports, and other features ensured and appropriate criteria met. Instrument surveys is requested inspector to verify visual observation, spot check measures, establishment of new alignment, investigated problems area, and determined deviation from the established standards. Track geometry, horizontal alignment, grade, cross-section evaluation, or gauge shall be investigated when in the following conditions. 74371. There are indications of abnormal wear on the rail heads of the wheel flanges. New rail are being installed on the portion on the rail is realigned. Operation crane or railroad engine binding have difficulty starting or having trouble on the movement. Potential deficiency in track can be observed, heard, and felt. There are indications of subtracted settlement failure and other structural changes. 74376. The visual observation indicated the acceptable limits may be exceeded. These limits established by these activities. Test inspection experience and engineering judgment indicated operation of the rail alignment problems. Optional operation observation. Operational observation is observation of the engine crane and the car working of the trackage system. The purpose of the operational inspection to assist the identification of proper area which could develop an unsafe trackage condition which undiscovered, including the following: 1 soft spot in the ballast, 2 weak of the disintegrated ties, loosen the binding, vibration, 4 the from our own off-track general downgrade position. We can look for daylight under the wheel treads on unevidenced wheel trying to climb the rails, as well as dragging equipment and frequently operational in inspections. The activity tracking system shall be performed at irregular intervals to ensure the trackage system will sustain the prescribed load in a safe manner. Railroad sidings towards the trackage section of the crane, railroad trackage blocked and seldom they use that should have been operational inspection within the maximum interval of 5 years. However, with the observation of trackage during the routine traffic loading after repair and during the investigation, recommended low use of trackage serving hazardous loads of ordnance fuel of the operation inspection of 2 years prior to the use. The section 4.42 routine traffic observation. The trackage shall be inspected with an equipment operating, and observation of loose binding and deflection vibration shall be made in sight of the sound and feeling an additional rail joint of the ties and the tie place, ballast and grout, and general alignment of the rail condition supporting the structure other than accessory may be observed. For the deficiencies of operational inspection, the observational may be made one during routine annual inspections, 2 the operators in conjunction with daily safety checks, 3 the maintenance of way of supervisor or lead car of the engine, 4 inspector adjacent to the track operation, 4 when the operational inspection is performed on board a train engine, a supplemented observation of passing railway track. Random selection suspected defective areas shall be made. There is no requirement to physical requirements for railroad trackage underloaded. However, when particular accessible railway systems shall be observed, and deflection guidelines for the maximum allowable deflections established by the inspection usable movement is observed and felt, and deflections of appear to larger guidelines limits established and cause deficiency cannot be immediately determined. In investigation, engineering analysis, immediately vicinity should be prior to determining the degree of hazard result of the investigation. In engineering analysis, no deflective limit shall be determined when there is use of section of trackage must be discontinued. 74.43 loads and limits defined should be moved into the trackage system slow enough so that the observation can be moved. 74.43 1. Railroad trackage load on rails shall be provided in the routine railroad traffic and normally operate on the tracks. The typical train is not observed and load on the rail may be provided by a locomotive engine and test car. The test car is used and shall be loaded to the maximum anticipated load unless at least one axle goes in total anticipated load is practical. 74432 ground level crane trackage. The operational inspector should conduct using a heaviest crane of the largest wheel that they have can operate the track. Note that the inspection conducted with no load on the hook of the boom parallel to the track. Evaluated crane trackage. Evaluated trackage shall be inspected and completion of the crane loaded test sections evaluated. The railroad track non-observed drain loaded tests observed during the operation of the heaviest crane have been operated for the track with no loaded hook or trolley position adjacent to the rail being observed. Intermittent emergency inspection trackage often during to serve the weather. Interim inspection must be during to the immediately following the heavy rain, ice, windstorm, extremely high tides, waves, damages affected operational safety while reported immediately. 7.5 non-destructive testing and recommended that all active ground level cranes of elevated cranes or railroad rails shall be tested in non-destructive or for defects 5 years intervals unless maintenance problems visual inspection dictate necessity. Frequently testing illustrating defects criteria unrespectable rail, including Chapter 3, Appendix B, a new rail accessory accepted according to the latest government specification standard industrial practices. Non-destructive test results shall be used and establish baseline future inspection identifying requiring observation. Non-destructive testing stockpiled and relay used the rail put in the service deferred until the next regular scheduled test of the discretion of the command officer and during the interim period of the rail. Given the safety use of rating based on the other tests of the observation inspection recommendation of the manual, sounding with a hammer is one of the best least expensive methods of testing the rail. Is a particular way to inspect the relatively short section of the track. Evaluated crane trackage and other trackage system. Ultrasonic testing and practical line tapping as a small hammer about every 6 inches will reveal looseness between the rail anchor plate and defective boreness. Becomes very similar. Ultrasonic testing non-standard responses investigated and recorded in future comparison series may be used in testing when electronic inspection impracticable. However, depending on the rail usage and age of history, experiences, activity considered using the inspection use schedule, shortening the program 5 years interval. Sounding is a non-destructive method in 752 in ultrasonic testing. Ultrasonic testing is a non-destructive test method for revealing intervals, discontinuities in dense homogeneous materials, meaning all acoustic frequencies above the dual audible range. Ultrasonic testing is referred to the method of non-destructive testing, readily accessible across the rail. Sonic testing devices which are available locally. Those are which are available commercial sources used in purpose of ultrasonic testing, an economical method of checking long lengths of trackage. In case of pavement, ultrasonic testing of the new rail be deferred until the next regularly scaled 5-year tested interval. 75221, a calibration ultrasonic inspection equipment shall be calibrated to ensure the reliable interpretation of the response. Approximately small defects that can consistently detected included are not necessarily limited to following the simulated not serious defects of 1/4 of an inch diameter, the hole drilled horizontally through the rail hole, the bolt hole through the web, the horizontal 1.5 inch sawn and crack between the head and the web, 4 a vertical 1.5 inch sawn crack in the web. 7522 test results, a discontinuation of reported nature and size of defective estimated responsible compared standard pass test results, rejection degree of hazardous potential defects based on assessment as all potential defects of assessment, ultrasonic inspection, visual inspection experience, engineering judgment, and critical and established activities in place of welded joints, welded repairs, rail casting, such as a frog, certain types of switches, confused and erratic response to ultrasonic tested. Therefore, interruption requires experience, engineering judgment, and preclude the erroneous classification of defect. 753, the non-destructive test magnetic particle military standard 2710 dye penetration, other non-destructive test method that have unlimited compatibility inspection. However, there may be advantage in investigation of potential defects indicated other than the inspection. Eddy and current and the approved non-destructive test methods brought to the state-of-the-art advance of the use of supplemented replaced sounding ultrasonic testing may based on local conditions, available economics, experience, and or engineering judgment. Miscellaneous inspection tests. Inspection determined on safe conditions, trackage, usual, unusual circumstances, make and determine engineering investigation, specific and critical component trackage system inspection performed for frequency shall be considered necessary by the activity recommendation of the audit prior to the use of available limitations practicable for any other special investigation evaluated Special inspections such as the following may assist in determining the condition of the track. Building up inspection review the Commerce Building and Structural Inspector to verify the working and affecting of the trackage has been scheduled. Underwater damage assessment television system. Divers underwater damage assessment television systems may be required to conduct underwater inspection of waterfront containment structures of the bulkheads, dock pilings supporting the trackage. Semograph, uncertainly conditioned semograph instruction, beneficial area to the voids of the fill material embankments, large and water tables, locations, slippage planes, and foundation below the trackage level. 764, the strain gauge is a structural analysis, and the anticipated maximum load of structural indicates certain members overstressed and marginal load test duplicating exceeding the maximum total moment share experience and services and strain instrumented and appropriate. 7 track records. Up-to-date records of all tracks for each military installation, basic administration, track maintenance, and repair programs, and every type of inspection thoroughness in which the track inspection are made important are equal importance to the accuracy and thoroughness of which in the inspection reports and prepared deficiency track elements and switches, bridges, culverts, road crossings identified by the report and reported deficiencies in hard identified elements such as the individual ties, joints, rails, and summarized reports, floor field and identifications of deficiencies accomplished in durable markings. For example, for each tie replaced an indicated inspector and implied markings. See the figure 320, 321, 311.3. In order to manage the administration trackage inspection maintenance program and design the following information should be available in usable conditions so that they are referred to easily readily. Documentation do not exist. A long range program should be established to obtain the appropriate information. Retention of the activity files. Inspection reports and inspection reports should be filed and maintained in accordance with the current directives. Tracks and charters appendix E and figure E1 are used in an inspection report from the should reference the track charter, and each report shall be recorded in inspection findings. Only the specific segment of track charts are used only in trackage. Reference and tracking should be reported in more detailed reports. Required is limited space provided in inspection report form from the supplemented photographs supporting material until reported deficiency have corrected. Essential reports of appropriate supporting material conventionally accessible for the according of the current directives of the current degree of the hazard for each section of the trackage shall be drawn on the track chart, map, or other prominent document. Track charts, although most not required of departments, are useful tools scheduling maintenance repair work for the identification areas and important track elements that require other usual amount of maintenance reports. Track charters plans shall be maintained as part of the real property. Records and charts should be kept to use for programming future work. Scheduled current work, identification abnormal conditions, recording maintenance inspection charts can be any format shall be unable to working documents. Curved data shall be recorded for all curvatures. 7.3 the plan and profile detailed in top rail profile grades of cranes. Rail trackage systems shall be kept current, may be shown on the track chart and separately size of type of rail switches, degrees and curves and frogs and other rail appurtenances should be indicated in the plan. Reference points. The location evaluation checks should be accurately referenced. Section 7.4.4 cross section subtractions shall be maintained when known unavailable. Special investigation report substructures on crane and railroad tracks on around piers, dry docks, trestles, wet areas, and major supporting substructures, elevated cranes. 7.7.5 Historical data. Historical data on each system which was retained development, including the following: 1. Dates of the system installed. 2. The weight of the rail gauge of the track. History of the maintenance and repairment replacement of the rail. Method of accomplishment. Previous work. General overall track condition. 7. Maximum capacity. Original intent of the use of track and engineering accomplishment. Calculation establishment. Maximum loading. 10 head cords. Approval of the railroad core. Curves of radii less than 300 feet of 111. Justification and exception of standard waivers. 12. Invalid structural analysis supporting structures based on exceeding current maximum loading. Of 13. Of pertinent information. Proposed projects. Maintain a list of pending work, including 1. The major repair projects approved, submitted, and needed. 2. The minor works accomplishments and local funding. 3. Major replacement project being considered an MCHEM founding multi-year renewal program of the real replacement practical. 7.7.7 p.m. inspection report. Local performance existence may be used in a minimum PM inspection report shall be included. Date 1, section 2, trackage, and 3. Unrepaired deficiency number and size of broken missing parts, suspected misalignment defects. 6. The guidance instruction used for the inspection. 6. The current in the inspection report. One of the preceding periods shall be retained. Work authorization documentation. Shop repair orders, usually action following the PM inspection, shall be kept 5 years. Overall track inspection as a minimum activity. Track files shall contain the latest control inspection report, supplemented engineering reports. All engineering investigation made sense of the complete annual special report. Modification, alteration, approvals, including engineering investigation field checks, all shall be kept 5 years. Current operational inspection records shall be kept unsuperseded. Non-destructive testing. Current non-destructive testing records shall be kept on file for the rails. Data collected by ultrasonic induction testing shall be retained. Necessary for the baseline defective retained. Necessary for the baseline growth defective growth comparison. And narrative report shall be included when explaining the unusual observations. 7.10 the progressive review the program review and the HQ command assistance of IG inspection report. Activity response shall be retained until superseded. 7.8